Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
You're listening to Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. The history the government hopes you never learn. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome to our show today. It is Monday, and let me scroll on up here, April 15th, 2019. And this, of course, is the real April Fool's Day, because this is the day when Americans foolishly give a huge amount of their money to the government, which doesn't spend it back on the American people, but spends it on war and bombs and Israel and propping up the banking system and just having a good old time for themselves. And so, yeah, this is the real April Fool's Day. All right, we've got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on right now, and let's get on into it. The phone lines are open, 800-313-9443. Mike is in our control room. And obviously, the big news right now is that the historic Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris is burning. Looks like it's going to burn right down to the stone. And it's a huge loss. The fire apparently was sparked off by some equipment that was being used for a renovation. And the roof burned, and then it collapsed, and now the interior is burning. And of course, everybody's been running around in there trying to salvage the artwork and the relics before they burn. So it's, you know, it's an art history tragedy. It is an architectural tragedy. It is a historic tragedy, and I'm sure this just cuts right to the soul of the people of France. Notre Dame is one of the most visited sites in France. In fact, Claire's been there, and so this is really going to be a bad day to remember here. Now, there had been some recent arsons of Catholic churches around France, but as of right now, the authorities are saying this definitely was just an accident caused by something that the people who were doing the renovations, they did wrong. Boy, I'd hate to be the super on that job. So at this point, it does not appear that there was foul play here. But apparently the fire started, they're saying, just 5 or 6 minutes after the cathedral had closed for the day. And they're still showing the video of it. The spire, which was on the top, has collapsed. And yeah, it's a very sorry day for the people of France here. Today is also the 107th anniversary of the sinking of RMS Titanic. RMS, of course, meaning Royal Mail Ship, a ship that is authorized to carry the British postal transatlantic traffic, and didn't even complete its maiden voyage. Hit that iceberg, glancing blow, ripped open the side, sank 2.5 hours later. 107 years ago today. All right, let's get into the new news here. Let's see. Apparently, there is concern, and this is over at ABC News, that Donald Trump and his administration are laying the legal groundwork for a military action against Iran. Now, I'm not sure what they mean by legal groundwork. I mean, in theory, Congress has to declare war against Iran. But it may be that Trump is just going to exert some kind of executive order and say, oh my goodness, national emergency, I have to go without the Congress. We've had a lot of presidents do that lately. But as a reminder, technically, only Congress can declare war. That was something the Founding Fathers put in there to basically keep presidents from just arbitrarily saying, yes, I'm the president now, we're going to go off to war against wherever we're going off to war against. I think it was a really, really good idea. And I know there has been talk in Congress of trying to reassert congressional authority over war making, and I think that would be a good idea. So we'll see what's happening. But apparently, people who are familiar with the situation are saying that this apparently is part of an effort to bend reality with and provide legal justification for armed conflict with Iran. Now, Secretary of State Mike Pompeo announced the Trump administration would designate a branch of Iran's military as a foreign terrorist organization. That, of course, happened last week. And saying the Trump administration is simply recognizing a basic reality. Well, I suppose if you're on the receiving end of being invaded, you're going to be pretty much terrorized here. But again, it's rather ludicrous to have declared the Iranian Republic's Guard Corps a terrorist organization. Clearly, they are state actors. They wear uniforms, they have a chain of command. But apparently, that's the first step where they're going to say, oh, Iran supports terror. And yeah, maybe that's the reason they did it, to say Iran is supporting terror and therefore we have to go to war against them. Okay, we're going to do a shout out now to our on-air affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. And in addition to licking their chops over Iran, it does look like there's serious consideration for a military intervention in Venezuela. Apparently back on the 10th, the Washington, D.C. based think tank, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, hosted this private roundtable on assessing the use of military force in Venezuela. And a list of attendees was made public. And among the roughly 40 people invited to the off-the-record event to discuss potential U.S. military action against Caracas were some of the most influential policy advisors on President Donald Trump's Venezuela agenda. They included current and former State Department, National Intelligence Council, National Security Council officials, along with Admiral Kurt Tidd, who was recently in command of U.S. Southcom. So, senior officials from the Colombian and Brazilian embassies, as well as top D.C. representatives from Venezuela, coup leader Juan Guaido, also participated in the meeting. So it looks like they really are going to do it, and it's a bad move. It's going to turn into another Venezuela. Okay. Canada is hopping onto the Get Venezuela bandwagon, if you will. They have sanctioned 43 Venezuelan officials, people close to Maduro. And earlier, Canada became one of the first countries to join the United States in recognizing self-proclaimed interim President Juan Guaido as Venezuela's legitimate leader, with Caracas and its allies slamming Guaido's actions as an attempted foreign-backed coup d'etat, which that's exactly what it is. So Global Affairs Canada has announced they're imposing additional sanctions against the Maduro regime, targeting over 36 officials and others close to the Venezuelan president. Over in Syria, refugees are finally being allowed to leave the Rukban camp, and they're coming out with a rather unsettling story saying that U.S. occupation forces were starving the camp residents. And maybe that's why they didn't want to let the people go, because they didn't want that to get on out there. But apparently these tens of thousands of displaced citizens who have been trapped for years in the Rukban camp by U.S. occupation forces. And Santa said that tens of displaced families, most of them children, women, and elderly, arrived Saturday noon at Jigam corridor on board trucks and tractors. So this is not the first time the U.S. has been criticized for their treatment of refugees. The UN basically said conditions at Rukban camp were a throwback to the Stone Age. So another black eye for the United States here. Story coming out of Fox News, no less. Concern is growing in Washington, D.C. about the new chill in U.S.-Russian relations and the concern that Washington, D.C. and Moscow could literally stumble into an armed confrontation that by mistake or miscalculation could lead to nuclear war. Yes, it's a very real concern. And don't forget, Paul Craig Roberts says there are people in Washington, D.C. actually talking about, let's just go ahead and do a first strike, a preemptive first strike. That's their thinking. But American and European analysts and current and former U.S. military officers say the nuclear superpowers need to talk more. A foundational arms control agreement is being abandoned, and the last major limitation on strategic nuclear weapons could go away in less than 2 years. Unlike the Cold War, when generations lived under the threat of a nuclear Armageddon, the two militaries are barely on speaking terms. During the Cold War, we understood each other's signals. We talked. That's why they set up the hotline, the red phone. And General Curtis Scaparrotti, who's about to retire, said, I'm concerned that we don't understand the Russians as well today. I don't think they do either. I don't think our leadership wants to understand Russia. I don't think Pompeo and Bolton are interested. They're just feeling their power. Their egos are getting the better of them, and they're just out there saying, yes, let's get some wars going. Okay. Over in London, the Ukrainian ambassador's car was attacked by another car, rammed into it twice, and the suspect then drove toward police officers who opened fire and discharged a taser. The man's been taken to the hospital, even though he was uninjured. But the ambassador, Natalia Galabarenko, apparently is also uninjured, but a little bit flustered. Israel has launched overnight airstrikes on Syria, just days after Netanyahu won, and I use that term loosely, his election. And by the way, there's already indicators of massive election fraud, voting precincts where there were more votes than voters. I think in one spectacular case was something like 160% voter turnout. We know that Arab votes were being suppressed with the use of video cameras. It was a crooked election. It was a rigged election, and Netanyahu basically stole it, and still only managed to win by 1 seat in the Knesset. Just 1 seat. So anyway, Israel launched overnight airstrikes on Syria, and they've hit a number of sites near the Masyaf National Hospital. And apparently Israel was justifying the airstrikes, saying they're targeting Iranian targets in Homs. But in the aftermath of the airstrikes, the only thing that was destroyed of a military nature was a Syrian missile launcher. the Zelzal 2, which is an unguided long-range artillery rocket, and it's manufactured by Syria based on a design from Iran. Israel is accusing Iran and Syria of upgrading these rockets with guidance systems, thus converting them into precision-guided rockets, which I guess is forbidden by some treaty somewhere. Or it just makes Israel upset. A court in Israel has ordered demolition of Palestinian homes because they were allegedly built in an area called the Peace Forest, but it has given settlers permission to build there. This is from Haaretz. Again, the courts turned down an appeal against the demolition order. The usual excuse: the Palestinians don't have Israeli building permits, and those are impossible to get. So, anyway, Israel has withdrawn the military forces it had deployed around the Gaza Strip. They've pulled them back here and said the decision was made after a military evaluation of the current situation in Gaza was carried out. The forces will now return to their bases and resume training to be ready for any emergency. So Israel had deployed reinforcements along the Gaza-Israel buffer zone ahead of the one-year anniversary of the Palestinian Great March of Return, which was due to take place on March 30th. So that's gone back here. Mike Pompeo is out there saying that if Israel imposes their sovereignty over the West Bank, it won't harm the deal of the century, which basically tells us they were going to give it away anyway. So Pompeo is saying that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's election pledge to annex the West Bank will not harm the deal of the century, and said that the U.S. peace plan will present a different model from the ones that have been used. Now, Trump's Middle East peace plan implies no sovereignty for the Palestinians. In other words, they're going to say, this is all Israel, get used to it. And that's why, of course, Netanyahu's annexation of the West Bank isn't going to harm the deal. This is entirely one-way deal. It's giving Israel everything that it wants and nothing for the Palestinians. They're not going to go along with this. They're not going to go along with this. Now, apparently, the U.S. ambassador to Israel, David Friedman, has announced that his country understands Israel needs to have dominant security control in the West Bank as part of any peace agreement reached with the Palestinians. Basically, he's calling for this deal of the century to include a clear position: Israel will not withdraw from the West Bank to ensure that Hamas is not able to come on in and take political control. This is also consistent with recent Israeli statements about its protection of the Fatah-controlled Palestinian Authority, which would fall immediately into Hamas' hands if such protection was lifted. So basically, Israel's going to stay in the West Bank. They're not leaving, which is what the Palestinians wanted. There's no deal there. There's no deal there. It's just giving Israel carte blanche. Story coming out of Blacklisted News. Acting Defense Secretary Patrick Shanahan was at the Space Symposium in Colorado Springs and said, "We must confront reality. Weapons are currently deployed by our competitors that can attack our assets in space." Shanahan said the U.S. military is not moving fast enough to stay ahead of its rivals, China and Russia, in the space race. He warned that both countries have already acquired weapon technologies with the intent to strike American spy satellites in the event of conflict. Well, you know, the United States has been developing anti-satellite weapons for quite some time. And so I don't know where he thinks we need to go. And I mean, this goes all the way back to Reagan's Strategic Defense Initiative, developing satellite interceptors, smart rocks, what have you. It's just a beg for more money. It's just a beg for more money. They want to have more toys. Alrighty, let's see. He went on to basically say the PLA, the Chinese People's Liberation Army, is deploying directed energy weapons. We expect them to field a ground-based laser system aimed at low Earth orbit sensors, space sensors, by next year. They are also prepared to use cyber attacks against our space systems and have deployed an operational ground-based ASAT, anti-satellite missile system. Well, I wonder how the Chinese solved the thermal blooming problem, or if they've solved it. Okay, we're going to take a phone call now from Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind? Oh, I'm sorry. We have to take a break for commercials. Then we'll take a call from Dustin.
With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. And now we're going to go to the phones to Dustin in New Jersey. Aloha, Dustin. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
And Mike, before I talk about Trump, I'm going to put on my tinfoil hat for a second on the Notre Dame Cathedral fire.
Yeah.
Now, I know they had scaffolding around it because it's old and they're doing work on it, but with a week left to Easter and it being a Catholic cathedral, it's kind of odd, and it wouldn't be that hard to set the fire on it, right? So, and with all the immigrants they're bringing in over there, the France is bringing in a lot of head choppers.
There has been a wave of arson attacks against Catholic churches all across France in recent months here, and I did mention that when I talked about the story. But as of right now, the authorities are saying this appears to have been basically a pure accident, and apparently the fire started just 6 minutes after they closed the cathedral to the public for the day.
It's just crazy what's going on in the West. It's like that's an image of the West going up in flames, basically. That's how I look at it. It's like the decline of the Western civilization type of thing. But Mike, on Trump, they got to rename his book, The Art of the Steal. Mike, I want people who voted for Trump like I did, but who still support this dude to call in because, like, he's not doing anything and he's not going to do anything for the Palestinians, okay?
Nope.
He's not. There's no infrastructure that's going to be done. There's no wall going to be built. The wars are continuing. It's just nothing. There's nothing here. It's more of the same.
Yes.
And it just, Mike, it just aggravates me. I'm like, every day I hope, I'm like, this dude is pulling a foolie on all of them. I keep telling that to myself. He's fooling them all, and he's going to have this 4D chess like with Julian Assange, and he's going to use Julian Assange and have come out with Seth Rich was behind the leak of the DNC. But I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening, and I just get so frustrated. Like, what are we going to do? Like, what? How can this crap continue the way we're going? I mean, I don't, like, even with the economy, it's not good in the whole Western universe because it's just been propped up with all the money printing, and if it was all good, you wouldn't have to manipulate the interest rates and all that. I just don't know where it's going. It just pisses me off, basically.
Yeah,
Mike,
I was going to say, it's clear that the United States ship of state, if you will, is sailing without a rudder. Nobody's at the helm, and it's heading for the rocks.
I mean, this kind of crap dooms societies, and to go along with it dooms your society. And Mike, I don't watch The View or The Five or any of those other people, but did you see Meghan McCain going up against that woman? She's like a lawyer. She's on the show regularly. Did you see that video?
No, I didn't.
The woman's like, remember the Pentagon Papers and this or that and freedom of speech and freedom of press? And Meghan McCain tells her, she goes, that's just all propaganda. It's all of them, Mike. Like,
yep.
The McCains, it doesn't matter if it's the daughter, the son, they're all part of the same tribal group. They don't care about freedom of speech. They don't care about the borders. John McCain didn't care about the borders in Arizona, right?
Yep.
It's just the same people and their family members. They don't give a crap about the American people, and they don't give a crap about anybody on the planet.
No, it's all about maintaining power, maintaining control, maintaining their wealth.
And Mike, also, I watched that on YouTube, on Fox News when they had what's that guy? He does the nightly show. He was like the son of whatever, but he had Rich Lowry on, of the National Review.
Yeah.
He said the same as all of them about Julian Assange, along with that Nadine woman who was in the leaked emails. And I don't know if you saw that email. It says basically, we got to pay for our infrastructure. We got to pay for, kids' after-school programs. She basically was saying we should steal their oil. Like, that was in the emails. It was something Nadine. I forgot her first name. Rich Lowry of the National Review agreed with her, so they're all on the same side, and it's not on our side, or the humanities side, basically.
Yep.
I mean, it's just that's what they're doing. They're going around the world to loot and pillage for their own group. And they
That's
use that as
exactly
their
what it is.
safety.
I mean, it's been that way all along. I mean, it goes all the way back to the reason we went into Iraq was all about controlling the oil and controlling the currency the oil was marketed for. And they've
And Mike,
gone.
one last thing before I get off the phone. Sorry
Well,
about that.
actually, I got to put you on hold. We got to take a break for commercials, and when we come on back, we'll finish with Dustin, and we've got another caller waiting on the line who wants to talk about Notre Dame. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Did you know that neither the American Medical Association nor the American Bar Association were established to benefit the American people? Have you recognized that in our country, healthcare has little to do with health, and that our court system has nothing to do with justice? The priests of both medicine and law have been incentivized to implement a dark agenda on behalf of the Bilderbergers and their ilk. To protect ourselves and our progeny, we need to take a much closer look at how these two giant industries really work. Join me, Al Whitney, on In Defense of Humanity, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Central, as we expose the matrix and learn how not to consent to our own destruction.
Withoout the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds, up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield tactical bipods. AROutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AROutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And we're finishing up with Dustin in New Jersey. Dustin, you said you had one more thing you wanted to share with us.
Yeah, I just want to on the Duran, because I think that's the second most informative site next to yours, Mike. The Duran, they had a thing about Sergei Lavrov saying basically there's a new world order coming, and it's replacing the liberal world order. And I thought that was fascinating for him to say that, which of course is Sergei Lavrov. We all know who he is, and I want everybody to just check that out and get a little more informed. And Mike, I want to say one more thing. If some of your listeners think being in the Empire is so great, remember, you'll never benefit from being in the Empire. They outsourced your jobs. They bailed out Wall Street and the banks. They sent you, your kids, and your wife the bill. So you'll never benefit, even though you live here. You'll never reap the benefits of them looting the world. All right, Mike, have a good show.
All right, thanks an awful lot here. And let's switch over to Ed in Florida. Aloha, Ed. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mike, I wish I could say a different topic, but to me, as a traditional Catholic, to see Notre Dame being burnt to the ground, watching it live on the internet, and it's probably one of the saddest days of my life to see such a historic church being burnt down.
I agree.
Speculation. Muslims, Notre Dame has been targeted several times in the past few years. And for those who may not believe that there is such a threat, I'd like to bring up Father Jacques Hamel, who was dragged from the altar in Paris and beheaded by two Muslims screaming Allah Akbar. So this is the future of Europe, and it's the future of America, I'm afraid.
This whole multicultural, globalist, New World Order idea is not really working out very well. And we have George Soros to thank for that. But I mean, this is a tragedy in so many ways. And now they're saying that the fire they're not sure they can keep it confined just to the cathedral, that it may spread to the rest of the island. So it's a true disaster. It's an absolute disaster. I notice that the shall we say celebrity clergy are already out there giving interviews. They've got Cardinal Dolan on Fox News, basically saying what we're all saying. It's a tragedy, and it's a great loss to history. I'm hoping that they were able to rescue the artwork and the relics, but it's going to burn right down to the stone.
That's what's happening right now. Timbers are burning. There's nothing left. Nothing. Glass, anyone would know with any kind of murals or anything, they just pop out. They burn. They pop. They're gone.
Yeah.
They melt. Lead. They used lead to make those back in the 1120s or 1100s when they first started it. It's burned to the ground. And I just wonder if our illustrious president is going to come out and denounce this as a hate crime. As quickly as he was the shootings.
Again, the authorities are saying this appears to have just been an accident sparked by the renovations work, and they're not saying that this was deliberate arson, at least not yet.
I don't think no, not yet. And the chances are, if it is, Mike, they'll never say so because I'm sure it will infuriate a lot of Europeans. I think, if anything, this will be just another conspiracy theory years to come. Did it burn down by a Muslim, or was it burned down by renovation work? We'll never really know the truth. But
well, I think the fact that the fire started way up on the tip of the roof where the work was being done, I think is a reason to say that it was sparked by the workers. Maybe, it was the end of the day, they put something down, frayed wires, all it's going to take. It's a horrible, horrible tragedy. But see, if somebody did do this deliberately, it is going to have a backlash. And the authorities are not going to be able to keep it under wraps, because whoever did do it is just going to get on out there and say, look, we were responsible for this. We're these non-state actors, and we're responsible for this. And I hope that's not going to happen, because I don't want to see Europe descend into literally Christians against Muslim civil war. because I think that would suit somebody's agenda just fine, but it would not be very healthy for the European people. Anyway, thank you for the phone call. We're going to let you. Yeah, we're going to let you go. Thank you very much for the phone call. Yeah, it is a tragedy. There's just no two ways about it. I mean, not just a Catholic cathedral. This thing is a cultural icon of Europe. We've all grown up knowing about Notre Dame Cathedral. I mean, they made movies there. It's a shame. It is a real shame. So the firefighters are still trying to put it out. The politicians are starting to make speeches. So the clergy. And I hope the stonework holds up, because then they can renovate and rebuild the interior, which they were doing anyway. It's going to be a long time rebuilding that. Okay, let's get on back to the stories here. Story in the Daily Mail, a national crisis. And they're talking about the epidemic of veteran suicides taking place here in the United States. And they had 3 military veterans committed suicide within 5 days of one another at VA facilities in Georgia and Texas. 29-year-old Gary Presley was discovered inside a car, found with a gunshot wound to his chest. It is a national disgrace how the VA treats our returning veterans. And by the way, those of you who are parents who've got kids who are actually considering enlisting in the military, you ought to take them on out to the VA and say, this is how you're going to get treated if you make it back with less than your full complement of bodily parts. Okay. We have other callers on the line. Mike in Brazil, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. It's been a long time since I called because most of the people calling just made my point, so I saw no reason to call. But anyways, I don't know what's going on with that wall on the southern border. And secondly, I want to stress the importance of the Second Amendment. Most people I hear, they say it's about hunting. No, it's not about hunting, because back in those days, in the 1700s, 1800s, there was no such thing as a hunting rifle or a military rifle. They're all military rifles. And this is something they failed to grasp because what's a military rifle? It's a rifle used in times of war, right? So in those days, they had these rifles, flint stock, whatever they had in those days. So anytime I hear these people talking about, yeah, but in those days, they had rifles, flint stock, right? We're keeping pace with technology. So whatever was designed in those days to be a rifle was a military rifle. There was no such thing as a hunting civilian rifle. And another thing is, I'd like to know what is going on with this wall at the southern border. It's like Donald Trump completely forgot about it. And another thing I was going to tell you about. I just had a recent case talking about vaccines. Okay, I'm jumping from one subject to the other. I want you to keep this in mind. A good friend of mine, I lived in Argentina for 5 years, and
Yes.
I made friends there. And this girl, a good friend of mine, she called me and she told me that her husband committed suicide. And I said, the guy was only 34 years old. How can that be? And she said, yeah, well, he was depressed. And, I said, what kind of medication was he on? And you know what she said? Paxil. The guy was on Paxil. And I told her 3 years ago when she first told me that the guy was on Paxil, I told her, please take him off the drug. It's a dangerous medication.
Yep.
You cannot have this guy. And she ignored my advice. The guy's dead today. he died a couple of weeks ago. I think it was March 27th, if I remember correctly. So anyway, so I have these issues with the vaccines, not vaccines, antidepressants, then the guns, and then the border. I don't know what to make of this guy, Donald Trump. I mean, I believe in the guy. I voted for him, absentee ballots, right? Because I live in Brazil. So, you know, I don't know what to make of this. The guy promised us the moon off the sky, and he doesn't seem to be concerned one bit about this. And what's your opinion on this? What is this guy up to? Really, Mike? Go ahead.
Well, I'm starting to think that Tucker Carlson's got the right idea that, you know, Trump's going to go through the motions of running again in 2020, but he's really not that interested in winning re-election. You know, he's been the president. His ego is satisfied, and that's it. Now he wants to go on and do something else.
You think Donald Trump is not running for re-election? You're saying?
Oh, he's got a campaign. He's running for re-election, but you know, if you look at the way he's abandoned his base, it's very obvious that his heart is just not in it.
Oh my God! I remember, Mike. I was so excited when I was watching his rallies. I was watching all these people, thousands of people filling up arenas. I mean, football arenas and full of people voting for the guy. And then all of a sudden, the guy turns his back on all of us.
Yep.
He turns his back on you, independent media. He turns his back on me, the guy who voted for him, and I'm sure thousands, hundreds of thousands of other people who voted for him. And the guy is like, I don't know. I don't even know what to believe anymore. I'm so confused because I believed in this guy. What was this guy saying? I believed in him. I mean, unlike the former presidents, right? When I heard Donald Trump talking about to the multitudes of people in the arenas, I said, oh my God, this is the Messiah. This is the guy who's going to bring law and order into this country. And the guy turns out to be a flake. I don't know how else to describe this, Mike.
Yep.
I mean, I'm so disappointed. I'm depressed. I am really, well, I'm not going to take any antidepressants, you know, like you. I hate antidepressants. And not only that, but the recent story from my ex-friend in Argentina, I know what antidepressants can do, so I don't want to end up hanging myself, you know, on some tree branch here. But I tell you, I don't know what to make of this. Is this guy for real, or is he playing a game, or I don't know. I like Layla from Ontario. She's a very knowledgeable lady, and I'm surprised she doesn't call him more often. And
well, she's working on a project now.
I don't know what. I'm sorry?
She said she's going to be working on a project, and when the project's over, she'll start calling back in again.
Oh, okay. So that explains her absence. All right. But I tell you something. Anybody, one last parting thought here. Anybody who says that the Second Amendment was for, 200 years ago, I got to remind them that at that time, in the 1700s, there was no such thing as a hunting rifle, as a military rifle. They're all the same, okay? So if you hear any Marxist telling you that, yeah, well, those were flintstock rifles, yeah, but they were military rifles, which means that the Second Amendment protects our right. I think that was Marbury versus Madison, if I'm maybe I'm wrong on this one, but there was a Supreme Court decision that said that the Constitution reserves the right to the people, to keep and bear arms equal, if not superior, to the military. Okay, because in those days, all they had was military rifles. There was no such thing as hunting rifles.
There have actually been a number of Supreme Court decisions, and I'm forgetting which one. I think it was United States versus Miller was one of them.
Yeah, right. You're right. It was United States versus Miller. You're right. Yeah, I got it wrong here. Marbury versus Madison was about something else. You're
Yeah,
right.
Marbury
yeah.
versus
And
Madison
the Supreme-
is the one that said if a law is repugnant to the Constitution, it's automatically null and void.
Okay, so it applies in this case. Okay, because it is repugnant to the Constitution. Because people do have a right. I'm like you. I believe there are certain people who are not allowed to have weapons, like mentally ill people, schizophrenia and all that stuff that they see things that don't exist. And I'm just like you. I'm for some kind of weeding out people who may put a gun to bad use, like murdering people. And but the fact still remains. The Second Amendment confers the right to the people to keep and bear arms, equal, if not superior, to the military.
Or at least the street
this
criminals.
was the whole point. Yeah, well, criminals. Well, it depends what you call a criminal, because you have a lot of political prisoners, Mike, in the United States. Think about all.
No,
those,
but I'm saying, common sense says that law-abiding citizens should have access to weapons equal, if not superior, to those in the hands of the criminals. And the criminals are out there, with a lot of very powerful stuff.
That's right. You're not going to get any argument from me on that one. I agree with you perfectly, 100%. The thing is that these people are like they want to confiscate everything. Look at New Zealand. What happened there?
Yep.
It's obviously a staged event. I mean, you don't have to be knowledgeable in false flag operations. All you have to do is just look at the details, what happened, and the fact that they banned the video. What were they afraid of?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, Mike, got to let you go. Got to take a break for commercials.
Okay,
we have other callers waiting on the line, and we'll be right back.
I'm getting older and noticing that my body just doesn't work as well as it used to. So I like to keep fit as possible by hitting the gym a few times a week. Recently, I started having a nagging bicep pain, and it got so bad I couldn't even lift the weights. When I was complaining about it to a friend, he told me about Angioprim. He said chelation helps remove toxins, heavy metals, and cholesterol in veins and arteries that may cause blockages. After just 1 week of taking Angioprim, the pain was gone, and now I'm back in the gym full strength. Scientific research proves the active ingredient in Angioprim has superior oral chelation action that helps promote cardiovascular health. So to learn more, go to angioprim.com. That's ANGIOPRIM.com, or talk to a trained consultant. Call Angioprim toll free at 877-882-7221. You'll feel better with more energy. Call 877-882-7221 or go to the website angioprim.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
How healthy are your arteries? Deteriorating circulation has a number of early warning signs. High cholesterol, high blood pressure, fingers and or toes often go cold, arms and or legs often go to sleep, sharp diagonal crease in the earlobe, short walks cause cramping or pains in legs. Memory is not as good as it used to be, ankles swell late in the day, chest pain after physical exercise or emotional stress. If you experience even one of these symptoms, Your circulatory system is crying out for attention. Extendivite is a natural solution to help improve your overall health. Extendivite is not your average heart tonic. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or find us on Amazon.
Extend your life with Extendovite. We the people, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. Let's get some of these phone calls out of the way. Keith Rogers. Aloha, Keith. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, good evening or afternoon. Well, it's evening here. So anyway, good afternoon there, Mike. I want to clear up a few things here because, you know, me and my show, I get tired of this constant victimhood. Noam Chomsky has a great video on the United States policy on Latin America, and I sent you an email earlier, kind of in a joking way, but it was called "I Grew Up in Las Vegas Too," you know. But it's how the mob works. You know, they go in these countries here and they break a few legs and stuff, and of course these are supposed to be examples for other countries to say, hey, you know, if you don't pay attention, we're breaking your legs too, you know. But this is how this corporation that we have works today. The same with Donald Trump. You can go over to YouTube and watch the video. Zionist Jews admit that mass immigration is number one on their agenda, as well as Israeli arms sales to Honduras, all this stuff like that, you know.
Yes.
And then, of course, Trump caves in on the immigration, saying, well, you know, corporations need the immigrants like that, you know, as he admits in the same breath that 95 million Americans are out of a job. Then, as far as this cathedral type thing over there, whether or not it was terrorism or not, I would invite your listeners to go over there and just Google the images of Raqqa, Syria, and compare that with World War II's Hamburg, Berlin, Cologne, or whatever like that. This is a systematic destruction of entire cities, mosques, everything like that. And then on Richie Allen's show today, he highlighted that 30 years ago was that stadium disaster over there, to where all those people got trampled and stuff like that,
Yes.
70 or 90 or something like that. Anyway, the state finally admitted that they were behind it and that all the police were Masons and stuff. They were protecting each other and stuff like that. But anyway, he had a caller on there and was talking about some stupid sports player. God, I hate sports. His name was Israel, something like that. But he'd made some homophobic remark like that, and they want him ousted from this game like that. And again, we're back to this victimhood, where if gays want their rights and stuff, I have no problem with that whatsoever there. But if gays want to join the military and go kill people like that, they're subtracting the rights of other people. It's constant victimhood, that everyone has always got to be the victim. And
Yeah.
now, like with this black reparations and stuff like that, why should I pay? You know, the old saying is, if you don't break it, don't fix it. You know, well, I didn't break anything. It was born before I was even around like that, you know. But everyone wants to be a victim. They want paid for something. They want emotional support. Like if this Notre Dame burns down, stuff like that. Well, you know, biblically, for the spiritual person like that, stop storing up things for yourself on earth. You know, your treasures in heaven. You know, but everyone wants to be a victim. You know, what about being a victim of U.S. terrorism, all based on lies? Anyway, you're on the short end of your hour here, so I just like to call in and give you my 2 cents. But best to you and Claire, okay?
All right. Well, thanks an awful lot here, and we're going to let you go, Keith. And let's start with Tony in Puerto Rico. But Tony, I'm going to have to take you through station identification. What's on your mind?
Hi, Mike. I'm glad you're feeling better and you're looking better. Listen, Mike, I have a couple of questions.
Yes.
Actually, there are 3 questions. Do you think that the Barbary Wars, the Louisiana Purchase, were unconstitutional? And do you think that Thomas Jefferson, besides the Sallie Hemings incident, was the greatest president we ever had?
Okay, well, I'm hearing the music, so let's take a break here for station identification, and we'll come back and we'll go through that all over again. Okay, Tony?
Thank you. Okay, I'll wait.
All right. We'll be right back.
The reviews for Extendivite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. By Christine, great for heart palpitations. By Ann, before I started using this product, every afternoon my ankles and my hands would be swollen. That doesn't happen anymore. So if that part of their advertising is true, I have to assume that the rest of it is also. Not to mention that when I had my yearly blood test, only a few weeks after beginning to use this product, my cholesterol had dropped over 30 points. I'm going to continue to take it. By Croc, I love this product. It really works. By Brad, works great, thank you. Tell us your story. Get your Extendivite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
This is RBN, the Republic Broadcasting Network.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero, because World War III is a really bad idea. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. And we're talking with Tony in Puerto Rico. And Tony, you had asked if I thought, well, you started with the Louisiana Purchase and then the Barbary Wars, and then basically came on back and asked if I thought Thomas Jefferson was our greatest president. Am I correct? Tony, are you there? Okay, I guess we lost Tony.
Hello.
There you are. Okay.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, good.
Yeah. Yeah. Listen, I have a three-part question. Yeah. Do you think the Barbary Wars, the Louisiana Purchase, were unconstitutional? And do you think, besides the Sally Hemings incident, Thomas Jefferson was the greatest president we ever had?
Well, yes, I think both the Louisiana Purchase, well, not so much the Louisiana Purchase. The Barbary Wars were definitely unconstitutional. I think the Louisiana Purchase is in kind of a gray area, and for that reason, I think, most members of Congress wanted to go along with it. It was a lot of money for the time, but it did open up a lot of new territory for the nation, and basically more than doubled its size here. As far as the greatest president, that's a tough one. Thomas Jefferson was a great man. There's no question about that. He created a brilliant system of self-government, which we have unfortunately lost. But I would have to say that I would hold Andrew Jackson above Thomas Jefferson in esteem as president, because it was Andrew Jackson who was able to shut down the first bank of the United States.
Okay, thank you, Mike.
All right, thank you. And we're going to switch over to Randy in Nacogdoches. I hope I not pronounce that correctly. What's on your mind today?
How are you, Michael?
I'm fine.
I believe that was the first bank was the first attempt from the Redcoats to come in, and Andrew Jackson took out their second attempt. I believe the way that came down, I'm not sure, would stand corrected, but either way, they were out until the cutthroat and Wilson came in and then apologized later. Wasn't that cute when he apologized after he'd already sold us down the river?
Yep.
But Michael, here's the way I look at it, is that I'm ex-military. They trained me, and I'm sitting here right now at 65, and I'm looking at all the things that happened in this country. I'm wondering, I'm not wondering any longer, of what I was doing there on the wrong side of the Dang River in Cambodia. What was I doing there? Why? And so, from all the things that they trained us, I've just decided it's time to, I guess the term now is reverse engineer. And so, the only way that this thing can be taken down from within, we all know they exist. But all the listeners and your 3 or 4 callers before, if that wasn't a troll, I don't know what is. I mean, because trolls will come in, give great accolades toward the current president or whoever's in, and then there's a however but. You know, what you doing now? Well, let me tell you something. If you hadn't been in the military before, or you're fighting a very complex corporate battle, which that's all this is, a corporate battle, you're not going to tell anybody what you're doing, for God's sake, especially when you got rats in your own woodpile. So Trump is, in my opinion, if he doesn't take down the Federal Reserve or address it and get it under control, we've got smart enough people here that can figure out our damn budget. We don't need people sitting on a board that we never know who they are, what their agenda is. We don't know. We don't know if they're loaning us hard currency or just digits. It's just digits. There's no reason to look into that any further. There is no gold per se after de Gaulle came over and confronted Nixon with it. That's been obscure. The only way that this current control system can stay afloat is for full spectrum dominance. And if anybody can stop that full spectrum dominance from happening, they will collapse because they're standing on no foundation. The only way to win is to get the people like are sitting here on this call today, getting educated to high heaven, but doing nothing. Oh, they're getting educated. Oh, they're getting all pissed off and mad, and you're going to have to do something. But they're going to wait till the next show because it's supposed to be real interesting. What people need to do, and what we're going to do, is we're going to start a campaign called the Army of Eyes and Ears. And this Army of Eyes and Ears, they can go out and they can tell us, well, you know, today I went out and it looks like that they were playing checkers up there. You know, what's going on in your neck of the woods? When you call into the Rabbit Hole Herald and give, like people are calling in now, and someone blurts out something of great value, like there's been several callers here and yourself as well, we are going to show a token of appreciation, and we're going to pay people. We're going to pay people hard cash to go out and be researchers and get educated. We're going to teach the Constitution and pay people to listen, and they take a little deal, write a little essay later. They've been exposed. Once a person who has been honestly mistaken all of their life learns the truth, they either cease to be mistaken or they cease to be honest. And so they'll be faced with that for the rest of their life. They know the truth. It's just they've turned on because it's more convenient to them. Hell, everybody wants to go to heaven, but just not right now. Everybody wants to get rid of austerity programs next Tuesday, but wait, because Monday I get mine. You know, that kind of deal.
Yeah.
So we're all going to have to step up here. It's not going to get fixed by itself. We can't turn our head against it. But if we grow within, if people start monetizing their own essence, that's what they're after. They're not after anything else except every single smidget of value that they have. They will tax. And so that can be broken. If people from within become, I hate to say this, wealthy, oh my God, that's all I wanted. I can show this whole crew, right, how we can do that internally by reversing a fractional reserve banking system where the value goes back to us instead of the money supply. I can do that, and I'm going to start that campaign. Just happened to find this station here, this main station deal that you've got. I've been listening to several others out there. And finding people that's going to teach this curriculum. And I've found some on this Republic Broadcast Network that I'm going to use in our curriculum. I'm proud of you. I tip my hat to you. Keep up the good work. This is Randy in the oldest state in Texas. I'm going to make this happen. It's going to happen. They're not going to take my state, by God. And we're going to go eclectic, and we're going to learn, and we're going to go and spread. They're not going to bring people out of California when they're running them off because the taxes are high and bring them into this state right here and think they're going to flip us. They flipped out if they think that's going to happen. This cowboy right here will not allow that. God bless you and the horse you rode in on. I'm out to fix this country.
All right. Well, thank you very much for the phone call. Thank you very much for the kind words, and I wish you luck with your project. And let's switch over to Art Off the Grid. Aloha, Art. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. I kind of like to get to the illegals in sanctuary cities after my quick comment here on the Second Amendment. You know, I can see, the earlier caller, he was right when talking about, the people have the right to possess weaponry, equal to that of any government or any other group, even if it's criminals. who could possibly threaten their liberties. But, you know, I've always believed that, you know, I can see, you know, for me, that there is acceptable exceptions in nearly any situation. For example, you can get a felony for a simple pot possession. Okay? But
Yes.
yet now, boom, because you had pot, you know, now you can never own a gun? Seriously? How does that even equate to anything relatively equal to the punishment must fit the crime? It doesn't. I can see if, like, an armed robbery or a midnight burglary where a gun was used or something where they used a gun in commission of the crime. That I get, oh, yeah, absolutely. That man should never, ever, or woman should never, ever be allowed legally to possess another firearm. Period. End of discussion. But the guy who, even if he got into a fight or whatever the case may be, if somebody got hurt, that's and he got a felony for battery or whatever, the guy didn't use a weapon. He used his fist. I've seen people literally take you behind the woodshed, not you per se, but I've seen people literally take men down, beat the snot out of them. They're wearing a pistol on their hip and they never draw the weapon, ever. Why? They don't need to go there. You know, so, I mean, there should not be this once, that's it, done, over, end of discussion. No, that's wrong. Absolutely wrong. And if you do get a felony where, say, it was a, you know, assault or something like that, you keep your nose clean for 10 years, boom, that's it. You know, dude, go get your shotgun, go get your rifle, whatever. You showed that you've changed. But no, they don't make that exception. They just want to automatically, boom, that's it. No more.
Well, they're looking to just take guns away from us all, and they're doing it incrementally. And of course, banning firearm possession from previous criminals is certainly one way that they can do that. And I'm in agreement with making sure that people with a history of violent crime or violent use of firearms should not be allowed to regain possession of firearms. As far as the other example you said about the pot connection, I'm in agreement with you. You know, having a little weed should not be a reason to lose your right to keep and bear arms. So it is unfortunately a complicated issue. But in the long run, what the government really wants is to find an excuse to disarm us all, because they're afraid of us now. They're afraid that we have woken up to what's been going on. We know what our recent history has really been all about. And yeah, there are a lot of people who are out there talking about, you know, doing something about the government. I don't agree with that, but the talk is definitely out there. And so the government is feeling like they need to find a way to disarm us all. They tried tricking us out of the firearms. That didn't really work all that well.
That didn't work.
And
they have every right. I mean, look at everything they've done, and like you say, the people are starting to get this figured out, so they have every right to be very, very afraid. Now, with this thing about illegal immigrants, you know, when I first heard Trump was talking about sending these illegals to sanctuary cities, you know, Mike, I got all kind of stupid giddy, because I'm thinking, you know, I've heard people talk about, why would you want to send all these illegals to these sanctuary cities and make the sanctuary cities stronger? Well, here's how this works. You take, and boy, I wish I had Donald Trump's here, because I think this is a wonderful idea. You take all of these immigrants that they're rounding up at the border. Okay, you're going to cut them loose. Don't take them downtown, whatever city, Texas, whatever. You know, take them put them on buses. Dude, I will gladly forfeit 1 month's pay for as many bus tickets as I can afford to buy to such cities as San Francisco and Chicago and all of these others. I will buy a bunch of bus tickets to ship these folks there, with the understanding you don't get off this bus until it gets to its destination. And then you tell these sanctuary cities, okay, you want to come out, you want to make comments like, and I've heard, you know, people in Congress talking about the right could learn from us. Okay, fine. Let you show us how this works. We're going to send all of these people to your city. You think it's a great thing to have this open door policy and no borders and what? Oh, and by the way, Nancy, your wall's got to come down, because remember, walls don't work. Okay, so Miss Pelosi, your wall got to come down. You got a big yard. How many tents you think you can put in there? Okay, now we got it rocking and rolling. You show us how this works. But understand this, you don't get not one penny of federal funding to take care of these folks, because remember, you're the compassionate ones. You're the humane ones. You're the ones with the open hearts and the open door policies. So your finances is what's going to support these folks. And when this is over, you come let us know how well this worked out for you.
Yep. No, I mean, we're starting to see people already change their tune and say, you know, Sanctuary City was a symbol, and you know, we think other cities, counties, and states should do it. But now that Trump is talking about just shipping all of these tens of thousands of illegal immigrants to the sanctuary cities, they're in a panic because they know it isn't really working out. It doesn't make their cities stronger. It makes their cities worse. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit further in the show.
Yeah, and keep this in mind, too. We can send all of these immigrants, and I don't care if we send another 50,000 to San Francisco. I don't give a rat's patootie. Let's dump 50,000 illegals right into the heart of San Francisco, right down there at the bus station like they did in a couple cities there in Texas. And we don't have to worry about making them stronger because, remember, come election time, they only get so many electoral votes, okay? So it's not going to sway the ballot any. Because they're already going to go blue. We know that.
Yep.
Not going to change the ballot box, folks. Not unless they really pull a major hack job. And I guarantee you, the Russians won't be the ones behind it. Hey, anyway, thanks, Mike. We'll talk to you again another time.
All right. Thanks an awful lot, Art. We're going to let you go. Okay, the phone lines are now open. We're going to do a shout out to our on-air affiliates who are rejoining our network. So let's talk about Julian Assange. Apparently, over this last weekend, there were several demonstrations in support of him, calling for his release, calling for amnesty. And, of course, Trump could pardon him. Trump could just write him a pardon right now. So we'll see what happens with that one. Now, here is the interesting part. Assange has been charged with conspiracy for something that happened back in 2010. The statute of limitations for conspiracy is 5 years and has already expired. So they're calling Assange a terrorist or in support of terrorism because that gets him to bend the rules on the statute of limitations. Of course, Assange has never done anything related to terrorism. But they're putting it on there because that's the only way they could hold him. Right now, for all the crimes that Assange can potentially be charged with, the statute of limitations has expired. The only real trouble he's in right now is jumping that bail hearing. Now, the president of Ecuador is basically dealing with a lot of negative PR coming up from why he basically kicked Assange out of the embassy. And so he's trying to basically explain it away by saying that Assange was using the Ecuadorian embassy in London as a spying center. And Lenin Moreno, in an interview with The Guardian, said, we can't allow our facilities to be used for that kind of stuff. So that's how he's trying to save face. Now, my understanding was that Assange was pretty much cut off from the rest of the world, let alone the ability to spy on people. But that's his excuse. That's what President Moreno's excuse is. And he's apparently sticking with it. Now, Rand Paul, in a recent interview, said that Julian Assange should be let off the hook for releasing stolen material through his WikiLeaks website if he agrees to testify in person before lawmakers investigating his publication of Democratic Party documents. And Senator Rand Paul said, I think he should be given immunity from prosecution in exchange for coming to the United States and testifying. Well, he's coming to the United States anyway. And this could prove to be very, very embarrassing if Julian Assange comes on out and says, yeah, Seth Rich was the source of that material. Now, Donald Trump is trying to wiggle his way out of the mess he's created by basically ignoring WikiLeaks or saying that he wasn't interested, didn't follow them. Complete reversal of his attitude toward WikiLeaks back in 2016. And so basically now the White House is saying that Trump's I Love WikiLeaks comments were clearly meant to be a joke. And frankly, I think they're just making things worse. They ought to just drop this right now. Okay, there's the music. It's time for us to take another commercial break, and we will be right back.
It happens more often than we can imagine. In my case, I was sitting at home, and out of nowhere, I just started feeling uncomfortable. Then it got worse, and I started perspiring. I tried to ignore it, but I waited too long. The chest pain came as we were driving to the hospital emergency. I felt my life clock begin to tick. I barely survived. There was lots of damage done to my heart. What do I do now? I was lucky. I took a leap of faith and tried a 7-herb formula with hawthorn, garlic, cayenne, and more called Extendivite. Herbs have been used for thousands of years to keep us healthy. If you're not using Extendivite as a preventative supplement, maybe it's time to start. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now, but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge 20, 30, 40, 50, if possible, 100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
When all this twisted steel was swept away, did these remaining holes reveal what's really happened?
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And apparently over at YouTube, where they're running the video of the Notre Dame fire, their artificially intelligent flagging system has labeled the video as a 9/11 conspiracy video. Okay, let's go to the phones here. Ray in Indiana. Aloha, Ray. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, thanks for taking my call. It's the first time I'm a podcast listener, and it's the first chance I had to get in and talk. Mainly about Layla and what she was saying about Thomas Jefferson and his line about all men created equal. He was not saying all men are equal. That was their way of being nice and saying we were a secular nation, that there was no divine birth.
Yes.
Is what my interpretation. And he never once said all men are created. He said that all men are equal. He was saying that they were all created equally, and that there was no such thing as a divine birth as a king or anything else. So basically, he's saying we were a secular nation, and that was an easier, nicer way to say that. And then one other thing about the founding fathers, and you brought it up before, where they used the line "pursuit of happiness" and took out personal property. And so my research has shown that that all had to do with slavery, because the South was counting. And what was really strange, they didn't use the word slavery. They used the term Negro servant, and the Negro servant was considered property to them. And so the founding fathers could not agree on if a slave was property or not. And so that's why they took out that personal property out of the line, life, liberty, and personal property. It went with pursuit of happiness. That's my interpretation, my research of reading the founding fathers. And along those lines, and then I forget which one of the Federalist Papers, they were actually talking about limiting congressional representatives to a certain number citizens that they instead. And so if they had adopted that, then the Electoral College would have made more sense. Right now, the Electoral College doesn't make any sense because you got 500 and some odd voters deciding 300 million people. And I don't think the founding fathers ever envisioned 535 electoral votes determining the outcome for 300 million people. So and my suggestion for a blueprint for a future that you use that term several times is limit the number of citizens that a single representative represents. Because right now they're up to almost 700,000 people in a congressional district. How do they honestly think that they could actually represent 700,000 people with one person? And I think that's where we made our big mistake, was letting Congress limit it to the 400 some odd representatives and never changing that number. We need to limit it. We need to limit it to the amount of people that they represent. Those are just a couple things that I've been wanting to say for months, and this is the first chance I had to get through. So I do appreciate your time and let me voice my opinion on that. But Layla is a smart caller, but I think she's way off base on that. That Thomas Jefferson never once said that all men were equal. He said we were all created equal.
That's true.
There's a big difference. Okay. Well, I appreciate your time, and you have a great show, and I thank you so much for the podcast. I download those every day, and I listen to them usually when I'm doing my workout on the treadmill, and and I will try to get some money your way, but I'm one of those working poor, but your show, I'm an informed voter because of your show, and I do appreciate that.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the call, and thank you for the help in keeping us on the air. Okay, we're going to start with Jim in upstate New York, but Jim, I'm probably going to have to go to commercial break and take you on through to the other side. What's on your mind?
Yes, sir. I think symbolically, you're not really covering the Notre Dame incident here. You know, it's I don't know if you ever been. You ever been to Notre Dame?
I haven't, but Claire has.
Right. Oh yeah. Need to tell you, the Twin Towers. The two towers when you come into Notre Dame. It is a Gothic structure.
Yes.
It is not a timber structure. It has no wood structure within it. I know there was people doing work on it, and you know, the consensus is that the scaffolding fell within it, but still, it cannot burn up the way it did. So I just I love your commentary. You got the yellow vest controversy going on over there, but this is a big, huge thing that just happened, historic.
Yeah, it's an historic event to an historic structure. Jim, we got to take a break for commercials, okay? We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective, and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
Hi, folks. CBD is the home run hitter for health right now. Why, you ask? Because of what it does for the body. Unfortunately, I can't tell you all about the benefit. There's reasons. Do your due diligence and log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com. Ancient Life Oil uses organic ingredients and is blended in coconut oil for some of the best benefits. Legal in 50 states and non-psychoactive. Log on to ancientlifeoil.com. That's ancientlifeoil.com.
Do you worry a lot? Whether you're a college student, busy professional, parent, or grandparent, ongoing stress and elevated levels of the stress hormone cortisol can rob your memory, your health, and your future. Now you can combat the effects of stress and anxiety while improving your memory and recall at the same time with the dietary supplement Calm and Clever. Studies show that the ingredients in Calm and Clever reduce cortisol by as much as 30% in 1 to 2 weeks. Call 1-800-758-8746 or calmandclever.com.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds, up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more. Plus mag-full clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
Well, they're stealing down on Wall Street and in Washington too. It makes me wonder, what's a guy on Main Street to do? I've always tried to be an honest, upstanding kind of guy. But I must admit lately, I thought about giving something else a try. Oh, I want to be a pirate. I want to sail the 7 seas, yeah, I want to be a pirate.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to the show here. Is Jim still on the line? Jimmy, you there?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. One thing I got to tell you about Notre Dame, it survived the French Revolution.
Yes.
This has been a structure that's been around, a couple thousand years. It's symbolic. I think you ought to give this a second thought. Symbolically, what the hell is going on here? This is a devastating blow to the French Catholic Church, and which has been entrenched historically.
Okay.
In French society for thousands of years. I think there's something a little bit more nefarious here. That maybe I don't know why people aren't talking more about this.
Well, first of all, nobody's come forward to take credit saying we torched the place here. Apparently, the rumors got started by a Time columnist, Christopher Hale, who basically tweeted out that a friend of a friend, a Jesuit who worked in Notre Dame, said the cathedral staff said the fire was intentionally set. Then he retracted that. So that's the only thing that we have out there, and that appears to have been the source of all the rumors that are going on. Now, the good news is the fire's just about out, and it looks like they've saved most of the cathedral, and it was undergoing a renovation anyway, so they're already set up. Basically, it's going to need, obviously, a new roof and a new interior. And but it looks like the stonework is still intact after all those centuries. And of course, the interior was wood paneling and various sundry other things as well. So it looks like they got most of it. They saved most of it, rather.
Well, but again, symbolically, I think there was something more to this than it's being set out there. And again, I'm not going into conspiratorial land here or whatever, but they got the Twin Towers coming up. All this illegal migration coming into Europe, and what better way to take the Catholic Church down by burning Notre Dame down? You know what I mean? It's a little too strange for me. That's all. That's the only point I want to get across.
Well, fires do happen, and of course.
Oh, absolutely, but it's a Gothic.
Just hear me out. Hear me out. Okay, would Muslims be so dumb as to burn down Notre Dame, knowing that it would result in a huge backlash against Muslims, many of whom had nothing to do with the fire?
That's not by inference. That's by what. Believe me, did I say Muslims aren't down? I did not. But
Okay.
I'm just saying. This is a Gothic cathedral, survived over centuries, and then all of a sudden, this thing's in an inferno. Come on, I mean, it's just a little too weird for me. But again, maybe you don't see the symbolism here, or I see the symbolism.
No, I don't know. Maybe Quasimodo dropped his bic.
Yeah, okay. So, to make fun of it, it's not very funny. But
No, it isn't funny, but on the other hand, I don't think we should be trying reading more into this than without some actual information. And like I said,
why did it survive the French Revolution?
yeah, I know it survived the French Revolution.
Right, but all of a sudden now there's an inferno there. It's burned down. I'm sorry, sir. I really, really respect you and everything, but I think there's something weird going on here. I really do. But on that note, I'll let you go.
All right, thanks an awful lot. We're going to let you go, and let's see. I'm looking at an article now where it looks like the main structure and the towers of the Notre Dame Cathedral have been saved. They've got the fires out, so they're going to be able to rebuild, and that would be a great thing. And of course, the stonework is the part of the cathedral that does go back 800 and I think it's 60 years or 800 odd years, because certainly many of the other parts, like the interior paneling and everything, have been replaced multiple times throughout the years. The big one, of course, is going to be getting the stained glass windows repaired. But I'm sure they'll get it done. And could have been worse. Could have seen the whole thing collapse. And again, this Time columnist, Christopher Hale, was the one who tweeted out that a Jesuit friend who worked in Notre Dame said the cathedral staff told him the fire was intentionally set. Then he pulled back on it. So we don't know where that came from or whether it was real or not. Okay, let's see. Now then, Valerie Jarrett was a top advisor to former President Barack Obama, and she wrote this book. And it came on out and soared to bestseller status. But oddly enough, it's ranking dismally on Amazon and at Barnes and Noble. So a lot of people were saying, what is going on here? And did somebody pay a company to game the numbers? And apparently this is actually a business. Companies like ResultSource will help authors buy their way onto the bestseller list. And the bestseller lists exclude bulk sales, so they work by buying large numbers of books in a way that appears as manual individual sales. In other words, they have people drive all over town and buy the books at the bookstores just one at a time. And they do this during 1 week, which gets the numbers high enough to place on the top 10 during the launch week. But it's just another way of rigging the system, gaming the system. And apparently it costs something like $20,000, $30,000 to do this, plus the cost of the books. And they're thinking that Valerie Jarrett, in fact, did exactly that. So they're all cheaters. They are all cheaters here. Now, Hillary Clinton is out there claiming that Make America Great Again is a white nationalist slogan. And she tweeted out her proclamation along with a link to a Huffington Post story claiming that far-right extremists have adopted Trump's red campaign hat. So apparently Hillary thinks that people who love this country and want it to be great again, we're now extremists. You're not willing to be a socialist, you're an extremist. Pete Buttigieg, I hope I'm pronouncing it correctly, has officially announced that he is running for president in 2020. It's getting to be a crowded field out there. He is the first openly gay candidate to seek the White House. And he launched his campaign bid yesterday with a criticism of Trump's vision for the future of America, saying that he is here to tell a different story. Over at Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, they have launched a lawsuit seeking information on the 5 men arrested on 9/11. These were the so-called dancing Israelis. 5 men were pulled over in this white Chevrolet van. They were taken into custody on the afternoon of September 11th. They were held for 71 days and then sent home to Israel. And that was basically the end of it. Now, the FBI had alerted police to be on the lookout for the van. Was pulled over in East Rutherford, New Jersey. The van was searched by a bomb-sniffing dog who registered positive for the presence of explosive traces. Samples were taken for testing. The public has never been told whether actual explosive residues were found. So these guys all got to go back home to Israel, where they were interviewed on TV and treated like heroes, and and basically said that their job was to document the event, meaning 9/11, which means they knew it was going to happen before it happened. That's what alerted people who saw them set up with their camcorder, is that they were set up before the first plane hit. By the way, that video they shot, still classified. Because obviously, if it shows that first plane impacting the towers, then they had to have advanced knowledge. And that's something the government doesn't want you thinking about. So good luck, architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth. I hope you win the lawsuit here. All right, let's talk about the economic news here. Things are not doing very well, and I'm not just saying that because it's tax day, but everybody's piling up debt. And it's not just individuals, it's not just the government, even corporations. They're piling up more and more debt. They can't get out of it. The cash flow just isn't there. And it's becoming a major problem. And nobody knows what to do about it. One good example would be Uber. Apparently, their operating losses piled up to 12 billion with a B since 2014. I thought Uber was doing a bang-up job over there. Apparently not. Apparently they're losing money like crazy. North Korea could target Southeast Asia's vulnerable crypto sector. This is coming from a defense think tank, the Royal United Services Institute, and basically saying that North Korea's cyber capabilities and financial networks pose a threat to Southeast Asia's growing but still vulnerable cryptocurrency sector. Now, North Korea has been heavily sanctioned for years by the United States and other countries over its nuclear and missile ambitions. The reclusive state has been accused of using cybercrime to gain financial resources needed to keep its nuclear programs going. So, big tech over there. Speaking of tax day, these tech companies that got the big, huge tax breaks, they did not spend them on hiring. They spent them on stock buybacks. So Trump's tax plan did not succeed in its stated objective of creating more employment opportunities for Americans. It just didn't happen. Okay, now let's see. Apparently over at Facebook, their investors are starting to get a little unhappy with Mark Zuckerberg. And they're looking to try and find some way to oust him as chairman and shake up the company's governance. Now, part of the problem, of course, is that Zuckerberg holds about 60% of Facebook's voting shares. So maybe they'll offer to buy him out. Maybe they'll just say, look, it's time to retire. Go and enjoy your place out there in Hawaii. But apparently they're not happy with the way he's been running the country. Okay, let's take a phone call. Joe in Tennessee, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike, this whole Notre Dame fire thing is like getting punched in the gut. I'm telling you.
Yep.
What a nightmare.
Yep.
I mean, it just hurts. And I do think it's very like symbolic on a higher scale of the collapse of the West and Christendom and France. It's just really sad. And I was reading that behind the altar they had the crown of thorns, or it's a relic. I mean, it goes back to a long time ago, since Constantine the Great. It probably is, but I'm just hoping they had people that were going through the cathedral and grabbing all the priceless works of art.
Oh yeah, they were the cathedral staff. They were back in there grabbing the artwork off the walls and the reliquaries as well. I imagine that the only things that were lost were stuff that was painted directly on the walls. But who knows? They may have gotten that. The stonework apparently survived. They're going to rebuild the interior of the church and put a new roof on it, and everything's going to be fine.
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, the other thing is I just can't believe that for such an important place, they don't have a better, fire suppression system or something. I mean, to watch it going up, I was reading that the part of the problem was the old lead roof. They wouldn't let rain, the water come in on it. And all it dried, and it's got wood underneath, so once it got going. But
yep.
It's just, you figure with such a flaw, well, not really a flaw, but a building technique, that they would have some kind of a fire system in there, halon or CO2 or dry count, something like that. for something so important. It's another example of like what's going on here. I mean, I work on ships. I just got off a drill ship, and we have fire systems. We have mist systems, so it cools it just turns water into mist, and it just absorbs the heat.
Yes.
We have CO2 and dry chemical, and I just can't believe that such a priceless place was just subject to either a terrorist act or a problem with the construction. And it's either way. There's no excuse for this. I'm sorry, there's just none. And I mean, we get inspected. We have Coast Guard, ABS. Maybe we need like a cathedral inspection fire system experts to go and fine them if they don't, protect their buildings. I mean, it's just hard to believe, to tell you the truth. I mean, wasn't there a museum that went on fire like sometime the last year also somewhere, and they burned a whole bunch of priceless works of art? And once again, I just don't understand it.
Yeah. I'm
They're
trying to remember the name of the museum.
Yeah, wasn't it in Argentina or was it somewhere like that? I forgot where.
Yeah,
it was.
I think it was. It was in South America, and the museum burned down, and they lost a lot of stuff. And you're right. They should have a fire suppression systems, but very often these museums don't have that kind of a budget. Now, I know the Catholics have got a lot of money, and they're already saying that, yes, in hindsight, we should have had a fire suppression system. Anyway, Joe, stay on the line. Got to go to a commercial break. We'll be right back.
Tired of being lied to by mass media? It's growing more and more apparent today that news is received less and less through standard media outlets. Even with a growing audience every day, RBN is beginning to direct more efforts into social media. Social media and the use of the internet is fast becoming the primary source of people for news, regardless of demographic. RBN has set out to provide some of the best news on the internet through republicbroadcasting.org, and also has begun to use the tools to our advantage by way of social media. Republic Broadcasting is now operating a Facebook page to function as yet another avenue to have our collective voice reach new audiences across not only America, but across the globe as well. The Facebook page features not only news, but also an RBN player to listen to our broadcast. Get involved by visiting facebook.com/Republic Broadcasting and liking our page and share it with your friends and family, because you can handle the truth.
Many people write us about their experience with Extendivite. Allow me to read you some from Amazon.com. It really does work like the review says it does. I cannot believe that after the first few days, I didn't feel as sluggish or clogged up. It has had a profound impact on my physical, emotional well-being. I'm skeptical as most people about products and their claims, and I never write reviews, but this is a wonderful product and I recommend it to everyone. Great product. It has brought my blood pressure from the mid-150s over the 80s to the mid-130s over mid-80s, along with diet and exercise in just the past couple of months. Excellent. Thank you, David. Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, the number 2, keep it today.
We will not go down in the night without a fight. You can burn up our mosques and our homes and our schools, but our spirit will never die. We will not go down in Gaza tonight.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. We're still talking with Joe in Tennessee. And Joe, I was doing some research during the commercial break here. And apparently our national cathedral does have a sprinkler system, covers about 80% of the interior. And they're just starting a new program to get sprinklers into the rest of it. So apparently many of these cathedrals are being modernized. The key issue thinking about the Notre Dame fire is that even if there had been a sprinkler system inside the cathedral, it wouldn't have really done much good because the fire actually began up on the roof.
That's what they say. It's they have this United Nations World Heritage Site group, and I'm sure Notre Dame was part of that. Maybe what they have to do is have an inspection part of that. Like if they're World Heritage Site, maybe they should be inspected to protect these sites, because some people might be, in control of a World Heritage Site that aren't taking, precautions. And it really, like I said, this is the Catholic Church, the government of France. There's a lot of, to me, there's a lot of, I just can't believe it, because, I had a toaster fire in my house like a couple weeks ago because they put taco shells in a toaster oven. I didn't know you're not supposed to do that, but we had a fire extinguisher. We put it out, So, and that's not a World Heritage Site. They're not holy relics and works of art worth millions and millions of dollars. It's just, I just find it hard to believe. I just wanted to say, I was in Notre Dame in Le Havre like 36 years ago, and there was a wall was kind of, all kind of shattered. And I asked the guy, I said, what happened to this wall? He said, well, it happened in World War II. And I said, the Germans, they did that? How horrible. And the guy says, no, it was the Americans that did that. So you got to watch it,
Yeah.
Cathedral here in Le Havre.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, I wanted to say about Candace Owens and the white nationalist hearings. It just another example of the Democrats and their hearings backfiring on them. I mean, the real story of that hearing was Candace Owens, a black woman, being accused of being pro-Hitler by these deranged lunatic leftists on the Democratic Party. And it just shows that when the Democrats do these kind of things in bad faith, it kind of backfires on them. It's like almost like, and it's not just Democrats, it's neocons and rhinos. It's almost like there's a new era where if you try being sneaky and false, it's almost like it's backfiring on everybody. So
yes.
Maybe the Democrats should just try to be honest about who they are and not be such a sneaky little demonic rat. And just be up front, and I think that's what they're going to have to do, because every time they do this kind of stuff, it's just blowing up in their face. It's almost like there's a new era of just being a sneak kind of doesn't pay off anymore.
Well, it certainly looks bad to the American people, but in this age of manipulated elections, I think their attitude is they just don't care anymore. They don't need to worry about their public image. Anyway, listen, Joe, got to let you go. Got to take a break for station identification. Got other callers waiting on the line. We'll be back with hour number 3 after these few words.
Homeowners, are you in foreclosure, expecting to be served with a foreclosure lawsuit, or suspect your lender has coerced you into an illegal mortgage transaction? A huge number of mortgages made in the last 10 years have legal issues and are possibly defective. State laws and the U.S. Supreme Court have upheld that defective mortgage documents are grounds for foreclosure defense and for counterclaims in favor of the homeowner. If your mortgage has been sold or assigned since closing the loan, it may be defective, and you may be paying the wrong party, and the lender may not have standing or the right to foreclose or collect payments under the law. If you would like to know if your mortgage is legal or not, or know if you are paying the right party, we can help. Our initial consultations are free of charge. We are not attorneys. We are legal researchers and work closely with experienced lawyers who know how to help you find the evidence to help you keep your home. Call toll free 1-855-2-KEEP-IT. That's 1-855-2-KEEP-IT today.
You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, because you can handle the truth.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network, where you'll find out what the Fukushima's going on.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show, hour number 3. And let's get back to the phones. Terry in Oregon, aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Mike, the cathedral in our country may not have as many priceless treasures as the one over there. I don't know. But I know fire suppression can do a lot of damage in itself.
Yes.
If it's triggered at the wrong time, it could do as much damage as a fire.
Yes.
I don't know what it is, but it's something to consider. And the point you alluded to about there's nothing more than a certain group would like than to divide us and to get us to blame the Muslims right away and come to a conclusion that they did it and we got to go get them, And I think there's a lot of people that in this country are very ignorant about that group,
Yeah.
And I think they should be educated. And that's why, we need to maintain our togetherness until the facts come out on any investigation on these things, because you can jump to the wrong conclusion. And then if you do oppose that group, then, the group they want to get us to oppose, that we're just like two dogs fighting over somebody that threw a Frisbee.
Yep.
We look so stupid, we're playing their game. So let's get the fact. I'm not ready to say it's a false flag yet. I don't know. That's why I want to get the facts first.
Well,
And,
according to the Paris authorities, they're saying it was an accidental fire. There's no question about that, and it may well be that somebody actually saw the fire get started. A sparking extension cord. We don't really know yet, but I don't think we should be jumping to conclusions. I don't know where this Christopher Hale got his information that it was intentionally set, but he did retract it very, very quickly. So, bad journalistic practice.
Right. There's a lot of people in this country that need to understand. There's a group that wants to divide and conquer.
Yes.
And they want to do it all over the world. They want to get every unified group divided, and they want to conquer them. They want to take over the world. And people just don't understand that. They haven't even thought about it. So that's why we need to educate them.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, well, Joe, we're going to let you go. Thank you
Mike.
very much for the phone call. Let's switch over. I'm sorry. That was Terry in Oregon we were talking to?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's switch to Peter in Los Angeles then. Aloha, Peter. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, hi, Mike. I agree completely with Terry. Just what you said about the Freedom of Information Act on the 5 dancing Israelis. It hasn't been released. By the way, if this were arson, if this were something like that, in such an iconic building like the Reichstag, like the Twin Towers, honestly, Mike, the question is, would they tell us? I don't think that they would. Like just like they suppress like the Muslim rape numbers in Europe and crime numbers here. They even suppress black crime numbers here.
Yes.
They suppress everything. As a matter of fact, I was reading where they were just suppressing still. The CIA doesn't want any more torture information. Which, remember, they bugged their own Senate Oversight Committee and then claimed that they lost or somehow got all the records of the torture got destroyed. Whatever. None of that stuff gets released, and it only they let us only know what they want us to know. But that's not the real reason why I called, and that is this thing with I just read where Hillary Clinton. I think I may have said it to you. Hillary Clinton is saying that anybody who wears the MAGA hat or adopts the slogan "Make America Great" is a white nationalist or
yes.
a white supremacist or whatever. Mike, that was framed by her campaign during the election.
Yes.
You remember when
I
they were
remember.
beating up everybody and the Antifa thugs were out there? The violence was coming always from them, never from the, try putting a Trump sign in your lawn or on your car and see what happens. But that was going on even back then, and then all the riots, the Soros-funded riots with Antifa, and all that stuff. But they have been working on that, framing that narrative for now 3 years?
Yes.
3.5 years even, and it's ridiculous. And the gentleman from Tennessee talking about Candace Owen. Wow, what a wonderful and articulate and courageous, frankly, stand-up speech she made at that ridiculous white people are all bad committee meeting. Helped, by the way, my own congresswoman was involved in that, Karen Bass. But at any rate, it's a concerted effort. Has been for a long time. It's more of the divide and conquer thing.
Yep.
It's more of the divide. It's a more marginalization of the only people, really, who can stand in the way of the people that Terry was talking about who want to divide and conquer and rule everything. The only people that can do that are basically the 68 or 70% of the population in the United States and the Europeans, educated, people with a technological society. They can stand in their way, and they're being divided up, and that's why. So.
Yep.
Anyways,
okay.
That's it for me, Mike. Thank you.
All right. Thanks an awful lot. We're going to switch. First of all, we're going to do a shout out to our honor affiliates who are just now rejoining our network. And we're going to switch to Reese in New York. Aloha, Reese. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Well, good afternoon, Mike. I just want to shed a little light from somebody with a construction management background. In my professional opinion, it is inconceivable that this fire was an accident. Now, I can tell you myself, because I work side by side with professionals on any construction site where a job of this magnitude, particularly when it's in an area so sensitive as a museum or a place where antiquities are held, something that is a historic site, they would have a site safety manager on the job with regular meetings, inspecting the site, no unsafe conditions such as, let's say, a gasoline container open, on the site would ever be allowed. So nothing other than a small fire could ever happen when there is site management. That's the one point I wanted to make. Here's the other major point. Here in New York City, St. Sava burnt down 3, maybe 4 years ago on Easter Sunday, exactly the same as Notre Dame just went up in an inferno, and accelerants were clearly used. They tried to, believe it or not, they tried to blame the fire on people lighting little candles. I mean, which is absurd. If you've been into a church, they're surrounded by solid granite or limestone enclosures. There's no way a fire could ever, go out of control. So those are a couple of points. Another one is this. If that fire was set, there's only 2 parties that could be behind it. One would be the Muslims, which I would say is less likely because of the possible backlash. The other is the group that wants to incite a race war, a holy war against the Muslims and the Christians, and that would be the Zionists. What did we find on 9/11? We know the buildings now. We go into, Chris Berlin's work and many others.
Yes.
Were wired in the weeks before, and they came down. So it's too early for me to make a specific analysis on how they did it. But I would say they may have borrowed construction uniforms and gone into the site and placed accelerants and possible timers in the building, and then had a small fire all of a sudden look like an accident, but amazingly goes into an inferno that takes down the whole cathedral. So I think we're in a new holy war. We've gone to the next level now, where they are really waging war against the foundations of Western Christian civilization. And I'm going to tell you, I am sick today at this news.
It is shocking for everybody who knows the history of Paris. By the way, a little bit of good news, because we're watching this story. They did rescue all the relics. They got them all out safely, so that at least that part of the church's heritage has been preserved. Okay, so let's see. Let's switch over to Glenn in Michigan. Aloha, Glenn. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing, Mike?
Hanging in there.
Oh, good. Listen, a little off topic. It was from your previous caller, Joe.
Yes.
That mentioned about his taco shells burning up in his toaster oven.
Yep.
Bro, I couldn't believe it when I heard it. I got some old El Paso taco shells, 10 in a pack. I put them in my toaster oven, and they started on fire also. That's the only reason I'm calling in. He was absolutely 100% correct. Then I looked at the box, and it says, "Do not eat taco shells in toaster ovens due to possible risk of fire. Seal leftover taco shells, food storage plastic bags on containers." Then it also said, I didn't realize this is genetically produced with genetic engineering. Can you believe that?
Yep.
I got nothing else to say. I just wanted to let Joe know he was 100% correct.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so a little bit of, household hint there. Never heat your taco shells in the toaster oven.
Yeah, but can you believe this? So imagine everything else,
Okay, Glenn, well, we're going to let you go. Thank you very much for the phone call. And the phone lines are now open if you'd like to call in. Getting on back to the economic news here. People are starting to ask a very serious question. Why are Wall Street's biggest bailed out banks just allowed to continue with what amounts to an ongoing crime spree? And this is an article that came out of Blacklisted News, and they're talking about the House Financial Services Committee released an in-depth research report on Wall Street's 6 biggest banks and their rap sheets and their ongoing crime spree. The report detailed facts, figures, and this inescapable conclusion. The 6 Wall Street mega banks have engaged in and continue to engage in a crime spree that spans the violation of almost every law and rule imaginable. Taking the breadth and depth of their illegal conduct as a whole, the 6 biggest banks in the country look like criminal enterprises with rap sheets that would make most career criminals green with envy. That was the case not just before the 2008 crash, but also during and after the crash and their life-saving bailouts. In fact, the number of cases against the banks have actually increased relative to the pre-crash era. And the banks in question are Bank of America, Citigroup, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, and Wells Fargo. So, okay, we have another caller on the line. Joe in California. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Mike. Aloha from the other Joe in California. I just wanted to clarify something that one of your Friday callers said. He said that something that you said reminded him of Rivero on TV getting hit in the nose when he was interviewing skinheads. But what he meant to say was it's Geraldo Rivera.
Yes.
And I knew exactly the thing that he was talking about, and I looked it up on YouTube. But anyway, just wanted to clarify that. And then you keep saying, and I believe you, that we're headed for a Soviet Union-style collapse. But so I can understand better, and maybe some of your other listeners, can you just draw some of the parallels between where the Soviet Union was then and where the U.S. is now?
Well, one of the most obvious parallels, of course, is the overspending on the military and the plunging of our nation deeper and deeper into debt. And a lot of people point to the Soviet Union's military budget that was launched in response to the Strategic Defense Initiative as having basically bankrupted the country. We're seeing the same degree of political infighting in our ruling class that we saw back there with the Soviet Union. Yeah. And those are the major markers, along with the obsession with secrecy and control that we saw in both societies.
And so did they have a collapse of currency? Do you think that it'll end up in the collapse of the dollar, or where do you think it's headed?
Well, the Soviet Union, their currency devalued. It didn't actually crash. They just formally dissolved the Soviet Union before they reached that point. As far as the U.S. is concerned, right now they're printing money like crazy, despite the claim that they're collecting record tax revenues. The deficit is now nearing $750 billion. That's the deficit, not the debt. And as more and more of that money pours on out into the world, at some point, people are going to say, this has to be worth less than it was before. And so, this unrestricted money printing is working against the dollar keeping its value. And that's a major problem. At some point, the controls are going to let slip, and the dollar is going to take a major plunge. Could happen this year.
Yeah, well, at least gold and silver will go up if that happens, right?
Well, we'd like to think so, but I've noticed over the last couple of years that gold and silver prices will go up, then there's an event that smashes them down again. Then they'll start going up again slowly. Then there'll be another event that smashes them down. Clearly, they are being blocked from seeking their real value. And the reason for that is very obvious. The bankers don't want you leaving the banks. They don't want you leaving the stock market. Gold and silver are a threat to their control. Because if you have gold and silver, you own it. It's yours. You're in charge of it. They can't play with it. They can't make money off of it. They can't manipulate it. And if you look at that story we just did about how the 6 largest banks in our country are considered criminal operations by the Congress, you can understand why we should be concerned. But silver and gold are good to hang on to, but they are being manipulated.
Yeah. Well, good to know. Hey, you look a lot better, and you seem a lot better than you were a week or two ago. So stay healthy, my friend, and keep doing what you're doing, and I'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks an awful lot, Joe. We're going to let you go. Getting on back here to the news. Let's see. Okay. Apparently, the Paris prosecutor's office has launched an investigation into the fire, but at this point, according to the fire department, they are linking the fire to the recent renovations of the cathedral spire. So that's the latest word coming out from that, but there is going to be a criminal investigation. Okay, this one is a really good story. Trump has announced that illegal immigrants are going to be bused to the sanctuary cities and states. Hey, you guys thought this was a good idea. You want them, you can have them. and basically says that the illegal immigrants the Department of Homeland Security can no longer keep in custody will be sent to the cities claiming to be safe spaces for illegal immigrants. Well, this should make them happy as all get out. Of course not. Cher, back in 2017, when she was speaking before the Senate in the debate over the Dreamers, well, actually, she tweeted out that everyone should take an illegal alien into the home, and she would too. Well, now it's time to walk the talk, because now it's 2019, and Cher is singing a different tune. We'll be right back after these few words.
Many people tell us about their experience with Extendivite. Just listen to what Glenn has to say.
Prior to taking it, I had diabetic neuropathy. The Extendivite reduced that significantly. Acid reflux was reduced. I had athlete's foot, very severe. Trimmed that down to about 75% dandruff, almost completely gone. I had occipital neuralgia at the base of my skull. I was having migraines, reduced by about 90%. Heart palpitations, my heart would kind of stall out. I would skip a beat. Very uncomfortable. And when walking from downstairs going to sleep, by the time I got to the bedroom, which is just one flight of stairs, my heart was pounding, coming out of my chest. My vision was blurry. This completely solved that problem. Great product. Thanks.
Tell us your story. Get Extendivite today. Call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendivite.
Folks, we're living in a world the likes of which we've never perceived any clearer than we do now. The plan for global governance has been in the works for generations and would have likely been achieved by now but for the fact that the globalists left open their Achilles heel. With all their tools, Federal Reserve System, fiat currency, no child left behind, and then Common Core education introduced to our schools to dumb us down, vaccines, pharmaceuticals to lobotomize us, GMO foods, insertion of compromised or bought and paid for politicians, judges, mainstream media propaganda, all pieced together like a puzzle designed to ultimately bring the world under submission. But with all their strategy, they forgot one thing: knowledge. And knowledge is power. With knowledge, their bombardment is nullified. Folks, with that, as brilliant and knowledgeable as you've become, among the wisest audience of any radio audience in the world, and you are, I want you to take a moment to reflect and ask yourself, how much of that knowledge did I obtain from Republic Broadcasting Network? How high has my consciousness been raised since I've been a listener? How fast am I now able to discriminate truth from fake news by being a Republic Broadcasting listener? How clear am I now able to see the world since I've been listening to RBN? Ask yourselves those questions, folks. Then ask yourself, what is that knowledge worth to me? Like my morning coffee, how would I survive without it? A voice of truth in a sea of lies. Do we not all need to make sure it survives? Like public broadcasting, we are now finding we can only survive with listener support. Censorship, advertisers being attacked, truth itself being attacked. It's the only way through this. We at Republic Broadcasting humbly ask you to become a supporter. Look at your budget and make a determination of what Republic Broadcasting is worth to you and what you can afford on a monthly basis. Go to republicbroadcasting.org and pledge $20, $30, $40, $50, if possible, $100 a month or more if it's affordable. Click the donate button and become a regular monthly donor. Assure both us and yourself that Republic Broadcasting truth will continue to flow like that morning coffee. The network thanks you.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. Join Mike on the air. Call toll-free 800-313-9443. 800-313-9443.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show. So we're talking about Cher. And back in 2017, she was out there tweeting that everyone should take in an illegal alien into their home, and that she would too. Well, now she's going to have her opportunity because Trump is busing the illegal immigrants out to Los Angeles. And so Cher, in typical Hollywood hypocritical fashion, has changed her mind. now that Trump is actually threatening to send illegals to sanctuary cities, Cher is singing a very, very different tune. Sunday, she tweeted out that Los Angeles can't take care of its own residents, much less newly arrived illegals. So, got that one right. Okay, we got a caller on the line. Eric in Tennessee. Aloha. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, Michael. Aloha to you, Michael.
Aloha.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you just fine.
Okay, I just wanted to let you know that Unplanned is available on YouTube. I know I'd rather pay for it, but I didn't want to go to the theater, so I watched it on YouTube today, and it's well worth the watch.
Okay, good. That's good to know, because I know it's not getting a wide release in the theater system, but if you can watch it on YouTube, yes,
It's there.
absolutely. I understand it's a very powerful
Yeah, the
movie. I
other-
haven't seen it yet.
It's very, very good. I watched it today, and I broke down crying a couple of times. It's amazing. The other point I wanted to bring up was Bitcoin. You said they passed a law in Hawaii making Bitcoin illegal?
Cryptocurrencies are illegal here in Hawaii.
All cryptos are illegal in Hawaii?
Yeah, I forget the exact wording on the law, but it just sort of came and went in the legislature, and there were concern. I guess the concern was the difficulty in tracking it and taxing it.
Well, that's exactly the purpose for it. It's unregulated, and nobody can really regulate it. That's the
Well,
beauty of it.
I guess the
Carry all
regulators
Bitcoin
didn't
you
like
want.
that.
Well, they obviously don't. That's the bankers, don't want it coming out. But yet, I just heard today that a huge insurance company in France legalized Bitcoin for investment purposes. So yeah, I think it was a $221 billion insurance company that just legalized Bitcoin. So what's that tell you?
Yeah,
It's here to stay.
it's definitely here to
So
stay.
I wish-
Cryptocurrencies are here to stay.
You have a fellow patriot on the island over there, Dick Elgar.
Oh, yes.
Who is into the cryptos. And I wish you would contact him and learn a little bit more about Bitcoin, because he's going ahead with it. He's buying it wherever he can. His last thing he bought was in South America, I think. But you can buy Bitcoin anywhere on the planet, and you can use it anywhere on the planet. So how can they control it?
Well,
It's an uncontrollable asset.
I'll give Dick a call. I've known Dick for a lot of years, going all the way back to when I met him, I think, while I was working on Lost, and
He was on CNN, I think, at the time, wasn't he?
he was on one of our local affiliates. I think it was KGMB, and then he suffered an injury, and he's sort of semi-retired now.
Yeah. Well, now he's into the crypto world, and he lives in Hawaii, right? Probably down the road from you.
Well, I'll have to drop him an email and say, what's the deal on that law? Was it repealed?
I don't know. I don't think he cared what the law was. He said, "I'm just going to buy cryptos. I don't care if they tell me I can or can't."
All right.
How are they going to know if you have cryptos? So I would recommend to you that put Bitcoin back up on your website and accept it as payment. And I'll definitely donate some, that I have in the past, just because it's the anti-bankers' money. The bankers can't control it.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I'll definitely connect with Dick over this issue. Okay, Eric, thanks an awful lot for the phone call. And we're going to
Okay,
switch.
Mike, take care.
All right, we're going to switch over to Tom in Florida. Tom, I may have to take you through the commercial break. What's on your mind?
Hey, Michael. Yeah, good day. Yeah, I want to talk a little bit about Cher and about the illegal immigration in L.A. and how all of a sudden she's kind of agreeing with Trump that she don't want these illegals pouring into Los Angeles. And that's one thing I really want to talk to you about. But, Michael, one thing I do want to talk about also, I totally agree with you. You kind of corrected me on something. I do not think the United States should ever go invade Venezuela. Let them all stew in their own stew. Okay? Let them. I told Rick Scott's office, hey, you're worried about invading Venezuela. Our border's being breached. We're being invaded in our own country. So Senator you're on. You got wrong priorities here. So yeah, I have to agree with you on that, Michael. I don't care what Venezuela should never be invaded.
Yep.
Get it. Look at Cuba. For 60 years we allowed Cuba to end up like it is. Well, that's what the kind of government those people want. Let them have it. Let them deal with it themselves.
Yeah.
We are definitely being invaded, Michael, in our country. Our country's being invaded. Like I
Absolutely.
told you, I live in South
Absolutely.
Florida.
Okay.
There's not one white Anglo male on the Miami-Dade or Broward County only has 4 left, Michael.
Okay, Tom.
Okay.
Tom, got to take a break for
What
commercials.
else I want to talk to you about?
All right, we'll stay on the line. We'll be right back.
You are tuned in to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Visit our website by going to republicbroadcasting.org.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When your doctor tells you have bad cholesterol or blockages in the arteries, what do? When diet and exercise is not enough, we try medications and hope for the best. For the last 2 decades, I have been telling people about a natural method to help solve these problems and more. Extendovite can help maintain cardiovascular health and lower blood lipid levels in adults. The 7 herbs in Extendovite are known to work together synergistically to get the results we hope for. There are many testimonials on Extendovite's effect on circulatory-related ailments. Get Extendovite today to start your journey back to a healthier life. To order, call 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com or see us on amazon.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
Do you know there is an ongoing war right here in America? Are you aware that U.S. citizens have been classified as enemies of the state since 1933? Have you recognized that our entire government is really a vast network of interlocking corporations engaged in commerce? Look up Title 28, Section 3002. Tune in to In Defense of Humanity on Saturday nights at 7 p.m. Central Time. Find out what's really going on and learn how to protect yourself and your family as flesh and blood men and women living in a corporate reality.
The reviews for Extendovite are amazing. Here are some from Amazon. September 2018. Extendovite works in keeping my blood pressure in the normal range. I've been using Extendovite for many years now. May 2018. Great product. I use regularly and I rarely get sick. March 2018. This product has relieved what appeared to be angina pain in my chest and shortness of breath after climbing stairs. I'm quite happy about it. February 2018. My husband, son, and I have been using this product for a few months now, and we have noticed an improvement in our joints and blood pressure. Tell us your story. Get Extendovite today. To order, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822 or visit heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
What this country is coming to, I sure would like to know. If they don't do something by and by, the rich will live and the poor will die. Doggone, the panic is on. Can't get no way, can't draw no pay. Unemployment gets...
And aloha America, welcome back to our show here, and we're just finishing up here with Tom in Florida. You had one more thing you wanted to say.
Yes, Michael. What I want to say is this. I want to ask you what is actually the law where the mayor of Oakland, California is tipping off, when she's actually tipping off illegal aliens, there's going to be ISIS coming, and why hasn't Donald Trump or the Justice Department or whoever arrested that mayor for what she's done to our country as far as breaking the law?
It's a mystery to me.
How will that be resolved?
All of these, sanctuary people and everybody who's assisting the illegal immigrants, they're all in violation of Title VIII. And I don't know why Title VIII is not being enforced.
You explained that to me before, but I want to know how come Trump is the president of the United States with the executive power that he has. How come he hasn't arrested her? How come he hasn't had the FBI, whoever, go arrest her? Because she's literally going out blabbing to the media and everybody, oh, yeah, I tipped off the illegals, and, I'm a mayor of Oakland, so I can get away with this. But, Michael, I believe that's breaking the law, and she should be arrested for that.
I agree.
Now, I don't know how she's staying out of jail. And I'd like to see what the media would do if Donald Trump actually said, you know what, this is enough is enough. We're going to arrest you. You're going to jail. You're trying to sedate our nation. This is sedation. This is an incursion of our country, an illegal invasion, and this woman's still yet not been arrested. I don't understand it. Now, Trump, if he's really serious about stopping this illegal invasion of our country, with the Democratic Party wanting to use these people to pad their voter rolls, okay? I don't know what's going on with President Trump, but he needs to arrest that woman rapido, because she should not be allowed to tip off people that are here illegally or committing crimes. Michael, one more thing I got to say about that. If one American gets murdered, I don't care if 1 million illegals come to this country. If one American gets murdered by one of them, that's one too many. We will lose too many people in this country.
It's a mess. It's an absolute mess.
That's too many.
And Trump's response to it has been, lukewarm. He's not, he keeps backing down. First it was going to be the wall, then he was going to close the border. Now he's backing off and say we'll give Mexico a year. I mean, Trump's a disappointment. I can't put it any more plainly than that. He's just a complete disappointment.
You're absolutely correct, Michael. But what I'm saying is the Republicans are shooting themselves in the foot. You're bringing in millions of people to vote Democrat. They're not going to surely vote for Republican. So why would the Republican Party allow this incursion into sedation? Why? Because of the media? Israel is not going to allow 10 million Palestinians to sneak into Israel, Michael.
Yep.
They won't even let 1 million sneak in there. Now, Israel and Schumer and all these Zog who are running our government, they sure won't care about our border here, but they sure do care over there. Dickie Durbin, Little Durbin, and Schmucky Schumer. They don't want Israel to get 2 million. Look, they want even 200,000 Palestinians to go in there. But they want our country to be invaded. I don't understand what this modus operandi is here. I do know that the mayor of Oakland, California should be arrested, and until Trump shows me that he's going to arrest her, I don't believe anything. I really don't. I think it's all farce.
I agree.
And you know what, Michael? Like I think I told you last week, and you can check this out on your own. There's only 1.7 million, 1.7 million Americans or illegals, whoever you want to call them, that are in agriculture in this country.
Yeah.
Actually, due to the Midwest, and I always thought it was like in the 10 or 20 million. No, I almost flipped out when I said, "Wow, it's only 1.7 million total," and our government that actually, working the farms and bringing the produce to the market.
And that number is going down because of the increasing use of automation.
That's correct. Absolutely. I believe they say it's going to go down to 1.2 million in about 10 years. So I can't remember the number, but I saw that like a month ago. I can't remember. It was something like that. But it was amazing to me is that what are the rest of these illegals doing here, Michael? What actually are they doing?
Collecting welfare.
Job title? I mean, what? Who's paying? Look at California, Michael. Sean Hannity talked about this on Fox News. There's almost 6 million illegals in the state of California.
Yes.
Where Ronald Reagan in 1980 was president, and Richard Nixon. Now you can't get almost a dog catcher if you're a Republican elected. So, this to me is just amazing, mind-boggling that President Trump, and I guess he's trying to do the right thing on immigration, he's not done enough.
Nope.
He should arrest that woman in Oakland, California for breaking the law. She broke the law. She tipped that's like tipping off a bank robber if you're a lookout outside. I don't get it. And the media is complacent in this, Michael, because they're not saying nothing about her breaking the law. Oh, she's a hero. So they're just as culpable and guilty as anybody. So, this is just mind-blowing what's going on with this illegal invasion of the country. And I can tell you, Michael, once Texas and Florida are blue, it's over.
Yes.
You'll have Bernie Sanders for the next 100 years. And that's just the way the truth is. And until I told you, Michael, there's not one white male on the Miami-Dade Commission. Broward County's right there. Palm Beach is going to be like that in the next 10 years. They didn't come to compliment. They came to take over the place. I hate to tell you. And Michael, and another thing is, they're not speaking English, a lot of these people. And I'm not just talking one group of people. I'm talking, you got Muslims. All these people are coming here. They want to keep their own enclave of their own language.
Yep.
It's not like the Italians, the Poles, the Swedes, the Danes. When they came here, it was like with the Statue of Liberty and through Ellis Island.
They integrated.
They had asylum and become American. Exactly. They became Americans, proud Americans who, like Teddy Roosevelt said, you only can have a nation if you only have one common language. That's in Teddy Roosevelt's papers that I read. Teddy Roosevelt, the Rough Rider, said if we don't have a nation that speaks one common language, we don't have a nation at all.
Yes.
And that, Trump should be talking about that at his rallies. Okay, we got a country now that's being balkanized. It's like, what was the Balkan Wars, Croatia and all that. That's what's happening here. We don't have a country that's saying, okay, we're embracing English as the official language. No, it's not happening. Matter of fact, you got like 10 radio stations down here compared to 2 in English.
Yep.
And the TV stations are the same thing all over L.A. Who's allowed that, Michael? Who's allowed that? The Republican Party? The Democrats? Who? That's like in Israel. Do you think the Israeli government will allow 50 different dialects of Arabic to go into Israel, start speaking all their languages, and kick Hebrew out? Or what do they use? Yiddish, whatever language they got over there? They're not going to allow that. Absolutely not. So, like I said, Michael, thank you for taking the time to listen to me out. I know I've been a little bit too much at times. I get very emotional about because when I look about what that mayor did in Oakland, that really blows me away. How she got away with this. If
Apparently.
that would have been the opposite and the Democrats were real, it's just so unbelievable. Michael, like you say, these Republicans like Rick Scott, we got to go invade Venezuela. We got to use. No, Mr. Scott, you defend your borders and take all the crap that we got in our own country and get them back over and send them to Venezuela or send them to Argentina or one of those countries down there. Why are they coming here? They should be going down there where they already got the common language.
They're coming up here because they think they're going to get free stuff.
Of course. They want the welfare food stamps and Section 8 housing and cars. Again, Michael, I think I told you last week, when I went to Cuba, 1 out of 100 people own a car over there. If that. And if they can get gas to put in the car.
Well, that's thanks to the to the United States embargo.
That's correct. That is absolutely correct. Now, what's perplexing about Venezuela, you can get gas there for still cheap as like 8 cents a gallon, but there's no food to eat. So I don't understand that one. But you can get a gallon of gas for like 8 cents American pennies for a gallon of gas in Venezuela. So it's just crazy. It's really crazy. So I think right now, until I see Trump really do a major move on immigration with arresting these Democrats or whoever, rhinos, whoever, leadership, mayors, I don't think nothing's going to happen. Really don't.
Yep.
And look at Chicago, Michael. That lady, the mayor, the new lady, what's her name? Lightfoot or Bigfoot or whatever her name is. I think it's Lightfoot, isn't it? The mayor of Chicago. Well, Lightfoot saying bring all the illegals here. Well, you know what, Trump? To send them all over there. Send them to Chicago. Send them to L.A. Cher's having a fit about it. Did you see Cher's interview today? Mike?
Yeah. Well, I read about it, and yeah, it's a complete reversal from her policy of just 2 years ago. Everyone should take an illegal immigrant into their home. I'll take one into mine. Never happened. These people have all become NIMBYs, not in my backyard.
Well, you know, Michael, I don't know if you know this. You know how much Nancy Pelosi's worth?
I forget off the top of my head, but it's a lot.
She's worth $45 million.
Okay.
And her husband, I think, is worth she's worth $45 million with assets and all that. They had a thing on her. I was on this website I was looking at, and the husband's even worth. He's worth multiple hundred. He's worth over $100 million. The husband.
Yes.
Pelosi's husband. So you know what? Why don't they take all those illegals and ship them right up there in San Francisco in her neighborhood?
Well, you know, it's kind of interesting.
They want for 10 years.
James Woods tweeted on out that Donald Trump just got Pelosi to admit she doesn't want migrants in her sanctuary city. You know, it was like, we've got to have these sanctuary cities, you know, elsewhere. We want the illegal immigrants to come on in here and vote Democratic, just not in my neighborhood. And
it's incredible.
Yep.
Maxine Waters is another one, Michael.
Yep.
This is crazy. But like I said, until I see Trump, well, hopefully next week or so he'll do some of that mayor in Oakland. I hear maybe a little rumor something could happen with that because she did break the law. Until that law is enforced, that he's executive, the president of the United States, and he says, go arrest her because she broke the law on immigration, nothing's going to get done. And this senator we got down here, I voted for Scott. I wish I kind of did now because I think he's being a nitwit saying, oh, we got to go invade Venezuela. No, we don't need to invade Venezuela. We need to defend our borders with the military, Mr. Scott.
Yes. Absolutely.
We don't need to go to Venezuela and take care of that. Let them. They voted for that guy Maduro. Let them keep him. Let them take them out of themselves. However they're going to do it.
Yeah, I mean, it was their choice. Maduro's the legitimately elected president of the country, and what can I tell you? Anyway, listen, Tom.
You're right.
Yeah, I got to let you go. We're running out of time here.
Thank you, Michael.
All right, thank you. Apparently, getting on back to Notre Dame, the reason the fire was as large as it was, apparently there was an internal wooden framework that amounted to something like 52 acres of wood. It was known as the Forest, and there was concern because of its age and how dry it was that it could be a potential fire hazard, as well it proved to be. But apparently the entire frame of the cathedral is made from this timber. 1,300 trees were used for the construction of its beams, and that's why it burned as hot and intense as it did. Okay, let's go to James in Sacramento. Aloha, James. Welcome to the show. What's on your mind?
Yeah, Michael, I just was catching up on your program, and that guy was talking about the immigration stuff. And, you know, one of the things, like, you know, you've talked about Operation Wetback before.
Yes.
And one of the things a lot of people don't realize is that Operation Wetback, at least as far as I know from my stepdad that was very, very good on history, he was, you know, talking about how when they interned all of the Japanese, and then they also, with the war going on, there was a lot of the Americans that used to pick fruit and you know, to work the fields. And so there was nobody there to pick the fruit and work the fields. And so they allowed the Mexicans to come up as migrant farm workers. And this is something a lot of people don't talk about. And that's where it started with, you know, they started the migrant farm worker thing because all of our groups, men and women and everything, they were off doing the war thing.
Yep.
You know, and then all the Japanese, and you got to remember the Japanese used to own a lot of the farms in California. You know, I don't know about the other areas, but I know California used to be owned by quite a few Japanese Americans. And so once the migrant farm workers started coming up, you know, and then the war got over, and then they were like trying to like kick them out, but they had already established themselves as the migrant farm workers. So it's a complicated thing. It's not really that easy to understand. but it's something that people really need to understand, is that it started because of the damn war.
I understand that, but the war is over and done with. Farm harvesting is now done mostly by machine, and the people who are behind this open borders idea, whether they're the globalists or they just want democratic voters, it's bad for our country. And you're starting to see where people who were out there pushing for the open borders agenda, like Cher, now that they're having to deal with it themselves, they're saying, no, this, well, and Cher's absolutely right. Los Angeles cannot take care of its current citizenry, let alone bringing in more illegal immigrants.
Exactly, but where do you think, what's his name? What was that Mexican farm worker that made a name for himself? I can't remember his name right now.
Cesar Chavez.
Cesar Chavez, that's it, yeah. You know, I mean, how do you think he got so popular? You know, and it was because we had this huge migrant farm worker that was allowed to be in America because of the war. See, that's something that a lot of people don't realize, is that we didn't have anybody to pick the fruits and the vegetables in the farm and the you know, out in the fields, you know. So we wanted the Mexicans to come up and do that.
Yeah, you already said that. Anyway, listen, we're going to have to let you go now. We got to take.
I'm trying to make a statement that people don't remember that's where it all started.
Okay, well, James, we're going to have to let you go. We got to take a break for commercials. We're going to be back with the last segment of our program.
Well, thank you.
After
Thank
these
you,
few
brother.
words.
All right.
Homeowners, if your lender has gone out of business or sold your transaction to another lender or servicer, you may be the victim of a wrongful foreclosure, resulting in the loss of your home. If you've already lost your home, are in foreclosure, or even in good standing, you can challenge the mortgage transaction's illegal issue, and your property can be restored to you, and your foreclosure can be stopped or reversed, and the mortgage transaction declared unenforceable. State laws, U.S. title codes, the Uniform Commercial Codes, and U.S. Supreme Court rulings have upheld that defective mortgage documentations can reverse or stop foreclosures and enforce property title claims in favor of the homeowner. We are having successes in stopping the process of foreclosure, the enforcement of the foreclosure judgments, the sale of property, and evictions after the sale. We are not attorneys, and we don't give legal advice. We are a professional team of legal researchers, providing forensic mortgage audits and expert witnesses. We have the knowledge to produce the evidence and enforce laws regarding your legal issues. We've been in business for 12 years without a complaint. Consultations are free, and we provide a free title search to confirm if your mortgage has legal defects. Please call 855-253-3748. 855, 2, keep it today.
Without the right accessories, any guy can be off the mark. Whether you've invested thousands in your arsenal or you own a single trusted firearm, a visit to AROutfitting.com is in order. It's one of the finest online selections of tactical optics and AR parts and add-ons, like EOTech, quick target acquisition with no peripheral loss. Browse the full range of Nikon scopes and binoculars. AROutfitting.com can illuminate your world with Streamlight gun-mounted lights from keychain to large handhelds up to 1,100 lumens. Find some stability with Battenfield Tactical Bipods. AirOutfitting.com has CMMG gun parts, barrels, assemblies, handguards, part kits, and more, plus magful clips and magazines. I know I've got you excited, so take a breath. Head to AirOutfitting.com. The site's super easy to navigate and features a ton of technical info, including links to manuals. We also welcome vendor and manufacturer inquiries. Remember, if you don't see it, we can get it at AROutfitting.com.
Corporate media dominates the American opinion. Finding independent voices that counter this avalanche is becoming increasingly difficult. With the endless corruption running rampant throughout our government, independent voices are needed more than ever to battle the offensive against our freedoms and liberties. As a listener of RBN, no one understands this concept better than you. Now it's up to you to do your part. The time has come for you to take action and begin broadcasting the truth to hundreds or thousands of people every month. Sound impossible? Quite the contrary. With pointed slogans from LibertyStickers.com, you can reach countless sleeping Americans unaware that they live in a real-life wonderland. LibertyStickers.com has a huge inventory of political bumper stickers and messages that reflect the truth about our government, our politicians, and the future of America. With so many in stock, there's one perfect for you. Visit us today at LibertyStickers.com. Again, that's LibertyStickers.com. Do your part. Your voice is important. Let it be heard.
What really happened with your host, Mike Rivero. You're listening to the Republic Broadcasting Network. Here is your host, Michael Rivero.
And aloha, America. Welcome back to our show here. And apparently a listener called in to remind us all about the Zoot Suit riots as part of the history of Mexican-American immigrants. And, yeah, you can do a web search on that. But this took place in 1943 and basically was a series of clashes between U.S. servicemen, off-duty police officers against the young Latinos and other minorities. So let's get on back here. Now, the Border Patrol Union president says it's absolutely legal to drop illegals in sanctuary cities. So, National Border Patrol Council President Brandon Judd says that, yeah, the federal government can just transport illegal immigrants to the sanctuary cities. And Trump finally got himself a really good idea because he's showing up the immigration people for the hypocrites that they are. They wanted a sanctuary city full of illegal immigrants. They're about to get one. Now, we talked about this last week, but it bears mentioning again. New York State Assembly Democrats have granted $27 million for illegal immigrants' college tuition. The illegal immigrants are getting a better deal than the U.S. citizens. And apparently, at the same time, the New York State Assembly Democrats denied tuition money to relatives of Gold Star veterans. Now, the Gold Star veterans, these are men and women who served in the military and did not come back. And you would think if you're going to show generosity and support some kids' higher education, that would be it. But no money for the Gold Star families and money for the illegal immigrants. That's it's a messed up priority. It's absolutely messed up. Over in Great Britain, it looks like Brussels may be ready to give up on the impractical backstop protocol agreed with Theresa May in the withdrawal agreement rejected by Parliament 3 times. This is coming from Tory Brexiteer Ian Duncan Smith. And they're saying it may result in a Brexit delivery before the election. People are still dealing with that college admissions scandal, and apparently a lot of people are taking plea deals. They're pleading guilty. And it is a major scandal. It basically tells us, first of all, that our society is available for a price, even college admission. And it also tells us that not everybody who's got a degree from that college deserved it, especially when you add in the fact that there are people who will write college papers for a price. It's just another fashion accessory, bought and paid for. Okay. Out in California, Congressman Eric Swalwell is running for president. And he says taking away the assault weapons is a top priority. And there's the music time for the show to end. Please stay tuned for John Stadmiller. I'm sure he's got lots of interesting things to share with you. Please take what you learn here and share it with everybody that you know. Use postal mail, face-to-face. Forget social media. They're absolutely in a lockdown mode. So please donate to Republic Broadcasting. Please donate to whatreallyhappened.com. We'll be back tomorrow. Aloha, America.
News.